Artillery disabled, Sergeant. Landing zone secure for the moment.
Another Phantom on approach.
Hey, don't worry. Oh, I had that one out. Another kill for me. Whoa. Dear Sarge, kicking ass in outer space. Wish you were here.
I heard that, jackass.
Covenant has control of the bridge ahead. They're going to try and bottle us up on this side of the gorge. The controls to extend the bridge should be in this structure.
Watch out, Chief! Wraiths on the far side! Oh, this is gonna get ugly! Hoorah! Yeah! Woohoo!
Careful, we're coming up on another structure. Good. Still no word about In Amber Clad on the Covenant BattleNet. It's odd. The Covenant know we made landfall, but they don't seem to consider us a very serious threat. Boy, are they in for a big surprise. Watch yourself. Honor guards.
Hi everybody, it's 314 React here, and today we are again looking at Halo 2 Restored Lighting because the creator, Mr.PirateFox, has released an update to it, now allowing the restored lighting on the levels the Arbiter, the Oracle, and Delta Halo. Now today I'm going to be looking at Delta Halo because this is the level that I felt had quite a bit of polish to it as opposed to some of the other levels in Halo 2, but it still did look quite flat because of the lack of lighting and shadowing. So I just really want to see how the restored lighting looks in a much more open, natural area. And it will give them more of an idea of how Halo 2 could have looked with its original lighting and shadowing system on the actual ring itself. Again, links in the description to this mod. Check out my video from last week where I go over Cairo Station, Outskirts, and Metropolis using this mod while comparing to the original game. And let's dive in to Delta Halo. Alright, so here we are in the cutscene, and just as we were seeing last week, I don't think there is much of a change to the
Both engine
cutscenes.
cores have spun to zero. We're drifting. Archer pods are cold. I'll need to rekey the system.
Do it.
I think there's some extra shadowing,
Sorry for the quick jump, Sergeant. You in one piece?
but generally we're not seeing that much self-shadowing or extra lighting on
There's
these.
an object coming into view now.
Cortana,
There was only a few
what
instances
exactly am I looking
when we looked at it last week of self-shadowing
Another Halo.
in certain areas. I'm not sure why it was only in certain areas on the cutscenes,
So this is what my father found. I thought Halo was some sort of super weapon.
but I will have a comparison in the corner anyway, as you'll be able to see there.
I want all the information you've got on the first Halo. Schematics, topography, whatever.
I don't care if I have the clearance or not.
I think the cutscenes looked pretty good anyway, and had lots of extra lighting in. You can see the extra bump mapping there.
Given what we know about this ring, it's even more important that we capture the Prophet of Regret. Find out why he came to Earth, why he came here.
Chief, take first platoon. Hard drop. Secure a landing zone. Sergeant, load up 2 flights of Pelicans and follow
Because
them
the bump
in.
mapping is always made more enhanced by extra lighting.
Keep a low profile. Once you leave the ship, you're on your own.
Understood.
Over the target in 5.
Hang on to your helmet.
And this bit always looked really nice as well. Always had a little bit of bloom on it, nice bump mapping, nice lighting, nice textures. And this is why I say that this level in general was one of the more polished parts of Halo 2. Yeah, I can't see any self-shadowing there.
Could we possibly make any more noise? I guess so.
But we are about to see
We gotta neutralize those turrets.
the greatly enhanced lighting on some of the ancient buildings. The self-shadowing on the characters won't be so noticeable in this sort of light. Yeah, look at the extra lighting on this here. Way stronger. far more enhanced. And you can already see some of the extra shadowing there coming in, extra lighting. Again, I'm fairly certain making the bump mapping much more prominent. So yeah, this looks fantastic, and you can even see the Chief's shadow there coming in from the light source. See, some of these internal areas look the same because there's not much extra lighting you can add in. But this looks far less flat. You've got the darker areas there, and then the much brighter areas here with the additional light, the stronger bloom effect. I don't know whether that's just the bloom being cranked up a bit, or the lighting cranked up a bit. I'm going to go with the lighting, because it's actually added all these shadows and stuff in. Got the Chief's original shadow there, and then the new proper self-shadowing shadow there, because the shadow goes over the other characters. The lighting reflection on the gun seems stronger as well, which looks really good. Again, there's still no extra shadowing from the actual torch itself. So, oh, look at this though. How much better does that look? So much better. The extra shadowing on the enemies.
Another phantom on approach.
Of course, it's still all in SDR pipeline, so you've got no HDR lighting, but it still adds so much more depth to the scene. You got characters shadowing on themselves. It starts to look a lot more like what Brute Force did, especially in this level. You can even see a little bit of the extra stronger bloom there coming through from the sky. I think that's the thing. The Halo 2 did have the tech, you know, the bloom, the light sources, the shadowing. The tech was there. They just couldn't get it optimized and implemented, so they had to tone it down to the point where the game looked kind of flat and out of date. But using the same game engine and just cranking these things up, you can indeed get a very, very much more 2004, even 2005 looking game out of it. Again, you can still see lots and lots of culling of geometry off screen, which means the shadows will just sort of disappear. Don't know if there is a way around that. I don't know how they would have dealt with that in the original game if they did manage to get those shadows in. It's probably another optimization they weren't originally going to put in, then had to. Because you have to wonder how many of these things were optimizations they intended to put in, and how many were optimizations where they were forced to put them in just to get the frame rate to be sustainable. Because I imagine with the amount of crunch on this game and how bad the development cycle was, they had to just make a lot of last minute decisions just to get it working. Always loved the bump mapping on the battle rifle there. Looks really good. And again, you can see here the Warthog already looks better. Shadowing on itself. The extra lighting. Very, very nice. It's where Halo 2 did have quite an advantage visually, because the vehicles and characters had normal mapping on them rather than just the environment. But I think because they had to implement that, they had to reduce the texture detail on the environment. Here's a nice bit. Look at the lighting there.
I heard that, jackass.
Oh, the Marine that says that line isn't on board, so we didn't hear it. But you can just see the extra bloom, the extra bright lighting on the Warthog there. You still got the old shadows kind of interfering with the newer shadows. It'd be good to sort of get those switched off, but you can see the self-shadowing there just adding way, way more detail. Even if it's not directly noticeable, you can kind of subconsciously see that there's more detail. And look at the shadowing off of this. Oh, how good does that look? Look at that as that goes up between the light source, the sun. Oh, that's so good. That adds so much to the scene. Wow. So this is what Halo 2 could have been, man. This is what it could have been. I'm still hoping the modder links up with Ruby's Rebalanced and gets these shadows implemented in the next release of that. Oh, no.
Right was the brake. No, switch that.
Whoop! Nailed it. It's so good. The extra lighting, the extra bloom makes it really feel like you're in an outside area, like the original Halo. And this bit here, look at the extra lighting, the extra shadowing there, the extra lighting bouncing off the floor there, extra bloom. Ooh, yeah. Combined with the sort of ambient sounds we're hearing there. Really, really good.
You can join the fight anytime you want, Chief.
Let's have another look at the Warthog. It just looks so good. It looks so much more polished. Like it did in Halo 1. Oh man. I mean, most likely if you're watching this video, you've probably seen Late Night Gaming's video. I think that's the point he was getting across, that Halo 1 looks better than Halo 2 because Halo 1 just had a lot more polish to its graphics. And yeah, Halo 2 just didn't have the development time to get that level of polish in. Which is a shame, because as we see, if they were able to get that level of polish, it would have been absolutely incredible. A little bit of extra shadowing here, looks really nice. And when it combines the extra lighting with the bump mapping, ooh, yeah, it's giving me a really, really nice feeling. And already you can see some extra shadowing from the Elite here. I mean, this room just looks so much better. The light coming there, light coming there, light through here. The self-shadowing can be a bit more obvious in the internal areas. It just feels like a game that if you were to play in November 2004 on your Xbox, would feel like, oh wow, this is the future, this is really amazing, as opposed to going, oh, something's not quite right here, there's something not quite polished with this. That's the feeling you would have had. Because whenever I was playing Halo 2 originally, I was just feeling, why does this feel off? Why doesn't this feel right? It feels a bit flat. Whereas this feels more like, yep, this is giving me that mid-2000s giddy feeling, or the sort of benchmark feel of the early 2000s, where you'd see this level of shadowing and technology and go, wow, one day that'll be in games. Which is exactly the feeling that Halo 1 has. We're about to see something even cooler here as this bridge goes down.
Good, bridge is down.
The shadow flying in internally.
Roger that. Armor's on the way.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that is just awesome. Okay, so these guys are just driving around, having a laugh. Let's wait for the tank. Let's have a quick look at the tank under the new lighting. Oh yes, how much better does that look? Again, self-shadowing from my character. Tank shadowing on itself, the extra lighting, the extra bloom, just gives it a phenomenal look. So let's jump in and blow some stuff up. Nice. See, this area still looks kind of a bit bland. There's not that much lighting around here to enhance. I don't know if this is an example of where they may have to use some invisible point lights to add an extra bit of shading around here, a bit of lighting around here, rather than just relying on the sun as a light source. There's supposed to be a second Banshee here. There it is. See, when things get caught in the light from the sun and there's extra shadowing on them, it just looks so good. But this area is going to be a bit more flatter, unfortunately. But there may be some enhancements that we see on the comparison video on the top left. Okay. Yeah, I think this area is fairly similar. It's just, the main thing about what was more polished on Delta Halo I found was that the texture work was a lot better. So you can see here a lot more bump mapping detail, higher res textures, a lot more of that sort of micro texturing that we saw in Halo 1. Oh, the shadows there. So this area. An area I always really liked because of that water in the middle, which, as we discovered last week, actually has some form of early screen space reflections on it. Which, to be honest, they probably should have toned down because they've had to reduce the sort of animation on the water's frame rate quite a bit compared to Halo 1. So they should have probably stuck with the water that they had in Halo 1 because it looked great. Just sort of bump mapped water with maybe a cube map in it rather than SSR, and put that performance into extra lighting maybe. Just have to wait for the Halo 2 style enemies that keep coming around the corner, and there we go. So now what we can do is we can park up the tank in the sun. So again, more detail from the shadows. Texture works reasonably nice on the tank, better than it was in Halo 1. Got the nice texture work here. Look at that. You can actually zoom into the textures and they look really nice. Don't think quite as much detail as Halo 1, but it has that Halo 1 look of the textures that was mostly missing from Halo 2, but came back in Halo 3. Yeah, look at that extra bloom, the lighting. Ooh, yeah. It almost starts to get to a 2006 sort of feel of video games. Someone left a comment on my video last week saying it's a mix between Doom 3 and Oblivion with this restored lighting mod. And,
Controls are mine.
And yeah, I can kind of see what they mean because yeah, it's the extra bloomy looking feel and the normal map look as well. And the dynamic shadows. See, this is where you start to see that Halo 2 could have been quite forward thinking. Because yeah, look at this. You could almost mistake this. Very almost mistake this for an Oblivion screenshot. Right? The normal mapping, the really nice vegetation, the textures, the lighting. It's very much, even the water to a degree, this is pretty good stuff for 2004 on an Xbox. And the technology was there in the engine. They just couldn't optimize it in time for the Xbox. It does give you that hint of what Halo 2 could have been. And look at that, the extra shadowing from the trees here. Oh man. Oh, you can even see the tree moving there, the shadow of the tree moving. Look at that. That's great. Look at this. Hey, this looks great. I think there's some extra lighting coming up here. I think they've added a bit of extra lighting there for the extra shadowing. Ooh, that looks real good. Again, more bloom lighting there. Still a bit flat in some ways. In many ways, a lot better. Is there any extra shadowing here? No, still just kind of a fake volumetric light there. What we can do is have a look out here. I don't think this area out here is going to be much different from classic Halo 2. Other than just generally maybe a bit more bloom and a bit more light on the gun from the stronger sun light source. So we're about to enter a internal area within here that should have a little bit of extra lighting to it. Let's get the SMG. So I've noticed that even the lighting on the SMG looks better if we go more directly into the sunlight. Something about the shading on that just looks better. But maybe I'm imagining it. Again, it's where some parts of this game look really fantastic because the SMG looks really good. It's almost like it's starting to look like a sort of military metal material rather than a plasticky fake material that you would have seen previously on older games with their older textures. But then you have the sniper rifle, which looks like a downgrade from the sniper rifle in Halo 1. I think the one in Halo 1 just had better texture work. This area still looks a little bit flat, to be honest. I think that's just because it's all going to be in shadow anyway, unfortunately. Yeah, this is the kind of thing where in a modern game engine you'd have bounce lighting and ambient occlusion to give it a bit more artistic life as well as make it look a bit more realistic. Because you can see from the light of the plasma grenade there, as soon as you add a bit of extra lighting in, it's looking better. Same with this area, still just kind of a bit dull. Even when you turn on the torch, you can see the increased level of depth. Because the trouble is with the lack of lighting as well, it's another thing Halo 2 suffered from. The lack of lighting in a lot of areas meant you didn't even notice a lot of the bump mapping. For instance, this sort of stone here, you don't really think about it having much bump mapping on it until you turn the torch on, and then suddenly loads of bump mapping. And that's why the extra lighting in combination with the extra shadow mapping can really enhance the scenes, because it just enhances and makes more prevalent the normal mapping that already existed in the game. This area is another interesting one. How did that not kill him? So this area looks very similar. Again, a lot of it in darkness, so I don't think there's much addition in terms of depth and extra normal mapping. But there's an area over here which has extra sunlight hitting it. So even the grass here, this is the kind of normal mapping you'd see on the original Halo, especially Truth and Reconciliation. Here we're seeing the sort of example of the early screen space reflections there, with that stone kind of reflecting in the water when it shouldn't. Should mean as well that when you go make the objects go off screen, they should stop reflecting. Some weird glitches there, which is bizarre because they don't stop reflecting when they go off screen. It's still being reflected off screen. So maybe it's not screen space reflections? I don't know what that is. I wonder if it's something based off of the camera. So what the player is seeing is being probed in some way and put on a cube map at a certain angle to give the impression of a reflection, which could explain these weird glitches we're seeing there. I don't know. Very interesting technique. But ultimately we aren't here to look at the reflection technology of the Halo 2 engine. We are here to look at the extra lighting and shadowing. And here we go. Here's what I mean. Here's where it shows off, because you can see the extra bloom here, the extra lighting, the bump mapping showing off, the extra shadow here coming from this, and the extra lighting there giving these creatures extra shadowing on them and on themselves. God, this looks good. See, this area just looks real nice. Extra lighting there. Extra shadowing. Look at that. Just as a scene, looks absolutely fantastic. So even with the generally lower resolution textures of the environment, this game could have still looked amazing. Because that would have been massively hidden by all of the extra lighting and bloom. Look at that. And over here you got the old sort of flat sort of look. So you can almost see in real time the older flat look where there's less lighting. And then the newer, more improved look of what it could have been. Because Doom 3 didn't exactly have high resolution textures and detail textures and stuff like that. But it still looked amazing because of all the other technologies going on with it. And here we go to the final part. Again, this area looks a little bit flat. The only thing you see is a little bit extra bloom up there, I think.
Good. Still no word about in amber clad on the Covenant battle.
Again, more lighting added here.
It's odd. The Covenant know we made landfall, but they don't seem to consider us a very serious threat. Boy, are they in for a big surprise.
So look at that. Look at this. Again, this is getting that Oblivion sort of look. Elder Scrolls Oblivion sort of look. Obviously just without the HDR that Oblivion had. But if you turned Oblivion's HDR off and left the bloom on, this is the exact sort of bloom you'd be getting. How many more of these are there going to be? Which goes to show the game was ahead of its time in certain ways. A little extra shine on the metal there. Look at that. Ooh, God, that's good. Just looks really, really nice. Alright, let's grab a pistol. Look at that. The shading on the pistol there looks great. See the triple shadow going on here. So I think you've got the Chief's original shadow, then you've got a real-time shadow map, and then another real-time shadow map. So it looks like you've got the light source from the sun, and then another light source from somewhere else, causing a second sort of lighter shadow. I don't know whether that's the modder adding in a extra bit of lighting, maybe a closer point light here to add some of the bloom here, I don't know, and that's what's causing that other shadow. But yeah, so many shadows. Hopefully, like I say, they can get to a point where they can switch off the original game's shadowing and just use purely the dynamic shadow mapping. And again, another very Oblivion, even Far Cry sort of looking bit here. Far Cry after the HDR patch. It's really nice. It looks great. And it's coming from this light source here. And again, you got the shadowing there for it as well. Just looks amazing. It just enhances it so much. And even with, like I said, even with the lack of specular mapping that Halo 1 had and the sort of low resolution textures, it still looks incredible because it just brings the whole scene much more to life.
Watch yourself. Honor guards.
The lighting around here looks really good, but I think that was even in the original game, because there were certain areas where they did add some really nice lighting in. And there you go, that is Delta Halo with the Halo 2 restored lighting mod by Mr.PirateFox. Again, all links will be in the description. I think it really enhances the look of the Halo level there. They've now added in the Arbiter and the Oracle. Now these levels had some of the engine's dynamic lighting on them anyway, as we saw in last week's video. But from what I've seen of these two already, the mod even greatly enhances these as well by just adding that look throughout the entire level. And again, enhancing the bump mapping of the floors and everything. I'm not going to look at these yet, because I think the modder is quite busy working on getting iterative updates in. But I just wanted to see what Halo looked like in Halo 2 with the original lighting and shadowing, and it looks fantastic. I think there just needs to be a few extra tweaks, a few extra things added in, and a bit of extra polish applied, maybe even some extra invisible point lights, maybe some extra optimizations to add in more depth into the areas which still looked a bit flat because they lacked any sort of direct lighting from the sun. But there may not be anything the modder can do about that. But anyway, hopefully in a few weeks, when the mod has matured a bit more, I will revisit it again. But that looks absolutely fantastic, and I hope they continue on their good work. So go check it out. It's really easy to download because it's on the Steam Workshop. Do leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Subscribe for future content on video games, tech, and graphics technology in video games. Thanks for watching. Hope everyone's staying safe, and I will see you in the next video.